The original home movies taken by Dr. John Howard Wilson and his family date from the late 1920s through the mid-1940s and are on 31 reels of 16mm film. The entire collection has been copied onto DVDs by Northeast Historic Film. As is typical of early amateur movies, the subject matter changes with no warning. This, in part, is due to the length of the early film that has been spliced. One might be watching a storm off Nautilus Island, and then instantly swept away to Europe to view Mount Saint-Michel in France, or a marketplace in the Netherlands, and then returning to view St. Patrick's Day Parade from the Wilsons' New York City apartment. For this presentation, however, we have taken the liberty to extract and reassemble footage to feature members of the Wilson family, a few of their friends, as well as the local area of Castine, Maine, of which Dr. Wilson and his wife Georgia were so very fond. The presentation will then conclude with special footage taken by Dr. Wilson's son Burbeck of an intertribal ceremonial in Gallup, New Mexico in 1941. This annual event was first held in 1922, just 1 year after the Wilson Museum was established. It is exciting to be showing this footage to the public for the very first time. It might be surprising to learn there is no footage of J. Howard Wilson himself. He, more than likely, was behind the camera in the late 1920s and early 30s when filming his trips to Europe or when capturing a much-loved fishing trip at Mars Camp. This selection of footage with family and friends was shot a few years after Dr. Wilson's death and extends into the mid-1940s. The following pictures are some of the family members you will see in the movie. Georgia Johnson Wilson was a strong supporter of J. Howard Wilson's scientific interests. She accompanied him on several trips to study prehistoric sites, the first being on their wedding trip in 1903. She took an active interest in the establishment of the Wilson Museum and its continuance after her husband's death, serving for a time as the museum's president. The Wilsons had 3 children. Burbeck Wilson, just as his mother and siblings each did, served for a time as president of the Wilson Museum. Burbeck was following in his father's interest in anthropology. He was conducting research on the Pomo Indians of Central California while pursuing his Ph.D. when he died of colon cancer at the age of 43. Burbeck at the time was engaged to Betty Taylor. Betty Taylor is seen quite often in the family films. She was obviously much a part of the Wilson family. In one clip of Burbeck and Betty playing on the Castine golf course, one can easily ascertain who is more adept with the club. Betty later married Fred Foote Sr. The Wilsons' second son, Sturgis Starbuck, had a successful 30-year career with the pharmaceutical firm of Shefflin and Company, becoming a director in 1939 and the firm's president in 1952. Just as his brother did, Sturgis served for a time as president for the Wilson Museum and as an honorary trustee until he died in 1983. Sturgis married Margaret Gould in 1933. Sturgis was the only sibling to have children. Of the 3 children, Alice is the only one seen in the family films. Her first appearance was when she was between 18 and 24 months old. She can again be seen at age 4 or 5. The other 2 children were yet to be born, David in 1941 and Peggy in 1942. The Wilsons' third child was a daughter. Elena Wilson traveled extensively for most of her life. Early travels included her 1929 trip to Europe with her family and 2 trips with a childhood friend, Marion Campbell. First in 1931 to Cuba and then in 1936 around the world. In 1941, Eleanor married Norman W. Dudier. Norman Dudier was a 1939 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis. Eleanor and Norman were married only 16 months, and much of that time separated because of war. He died while serving on the USS Juno, torpedoed by a Japanese submarine during the Battle of Guadalcanal. This was an historic sinking that also claimed the lives of 5 brothers from the same family, the Fighting Sullivans. Of the more than 700 officers and enlisted men aboard, it is estimated that only 100 survived the initial sinking, only to be lost from injuries, lack of water, and shock attacks when rescue was delayed 8 days due to the naval miscommunication and error. Ultimately, only 10 survived. Elena was an avid flyer, logging hundreds of hours in the air in a variety of small planes. She received her private pilot's license in 1941. In 1943, after the death of Norman, Elena joined the war effort by signing on with the U.S. Army Air Forces for the Women's Air Force Service Pilots, known as WASP. The flight training was at Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas. Though she did not complete her training, she graduated from Stewart Technical School in New York after passing the aircraft engine mechanical course. Her brother Burbeck attended classes with Eleanor and also completed the course that year. Eleanor's life was profoundly changed by Norman's death in 1942. The tragedy was closely followed by the suicide of her friend Marion in 1944 and the untimely death of her beloved brother Burbeck in 1946. Following a trip to England in 1947, her life became very insular for several years. It was during this time that she and her mother made the decision to move from New York City to live year-round on Nautilus Island. Here they lived out the rest of their lives. From the mid-1950s, Elena devoted much of her time to the advancement of the Wilson Museum, carrying out and expanding upon her father's legacy. Under her directorship, the museum expanded to include the historic John and Phoebe Perkins House, the village blacksmith, and the small exhibit building, which currently houses the Bagaduce fire pump and antique fire alarm. After her death in 2004, the museum was honored with her very generous bequest, including the Shurlop property, where many of the museum's events are held, the Dudier House, which is used as the museum's administrative building, and a portfolio the museum now carefully manages. In addition to these family members are some friends you may recognize. Betty Leonard will be romping with her goats. Ruth Kneisel and Barbara Taylor Prindle, Betty's sister, whom we will see enjoying the Wilsons' wharf in Castine. Anita and Marion Harris were good friends of the Wilsons. There is footage showing the two of them visiting the Wilsons at their home on Perkins Street, as well as visiting their home on Nautilus Island. Anita was of kindred spirit with the Wilsons, and they often rode between their beloved Holbrook and Nautilus Islands to visit one another. Maggie Hutchins will be seen sweeping the front entrance of the house at Nautilus Island. Though you will see this flagpole being cut down in the film, the picture shown here documents an occasion when J. Howard and Georgia entertained the Charles L. Stevens Post number 76. Note the fishware to the right. This picture of the windmill can be seen in the movies being installed. John Howard's observatory was first situated on his mother's property in Castine. When Georgia and John Howard were married, they purchased Nautilus Island from Georgia's cousin, and the observatory was moved to the island. This barn on Nautilus Island was built in 1913 and outfitted according to the James Way. With no further notations, we hope you will enjoy this presentation for what it is, simply snippets of a past that we can never return to but for the memories and for the marvel of home movies.